customer base,
Hmm.
what would an electric vehicle have to be like for your customers to seriously consider buying one? So
There would
what are
have
those
to be
variables?
there would have to be a big enough sample size to see that, okay, this Tesla has 150,000 miles, and now we're seeing Teslas that have 250,000 miles, and you don't have to put another battery in them, or you don't have some crazy repair that's got to come up. Because a lot of times when my customers come in, even a customer, my higher end customer that's buying a $5,000 car off my lot, um, they still need the car to last. They don't have very much money after that $5,000. So they need to know that they're not going to have a $2,500 expense that's just going to be normal. And I would assume a replacing of a battery in an EV is kind of a normal maintenance thing after a certain amount of miles. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. So maybe you can tell me about that right now.
Yeah, it actually isn't. So the
Okay.
battery, yeah, at least I mean I'm gonna speak for Tesla. So
See, that's the thing too.
replace,
Tesla could tell me
yeah,
about that. I don't know.
right. Right. No, that those are great points. Yeah. So with a Tesla, you're not really expected to change the battery. They have I believe the latest warranty they have is 8 year unlimited mile. But there is
Wow. Okay.
Teslas out there with close to 1 million miles on their batteries. When I used to work there, I mean, I think that should be out of my NDA by now. We never really saw like the battery part that we shipped out of our facilities to replace was like it barely moved, which told me that like, hey, there aren't batteries failing left and right. When you have a fleet of say 2-3 million Teslas, yeah, you'll have the one-off car that's going to need a battery change, but it's like no, I'm willing to bet a battery change happens way less often than an entire engine rebuild in a new car, or you have to swap out the engine. I think those happen a lot less frequently. So the usual maintenance stuff will. I mean, if I use my cars as an example, windshield wipers, windshield wiper fluid, um, the cabin air filter, tires, alignment. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean that's great. I mean, if people, most people knew this, you would see more EV sales going through. And this is an obvious thing for you to talk about, but like my customers don't know this. Like if you could have a vehicle out there like a Tesla that you don't have to take into service. I know you don't have to get an oil change. I know you don't have to do a regular maintenance like you're going to have to do on a internal combustion engine. I mean, this is a huge selling point for a lot of these EVs, and I think if the knowledge is just out there, and if Tesla is actually promoting this, they're going to see a just a massive like increase to their sales if they just take some time, spend some money, and actually educate people on what's going on with their vehicles. Because I mean, what I've seen in older EVs that actually are in our price range, it's like a Nissan Leaf. I mean, you're getting the batteries are already dead at this point, and you're getting 8 miles worth of charge, and no one's
Mhm.
going to, especially where I am, where you have to drive everywhere to get to everything. Um, and that's what's burned into some people's like just their brains as far as EVs. They connect this, and you really have to crush that as a marketing tool for Tesla to be able to convert people from the safety of gas to be able to actually charge.
Yeah. What do you think? So if you kind of look, if you think back to sort of how you those things that you weren't sure about, or maybe the people that you talk to, the people that that talk about EVs, like what do you think caused that say lack of knowledge? Is it Tesla just not coming out and saying this is what it is, and then folks intuitively saying, well, you probably need to replace the battery, or was there something else that like I'm just curious to hear how you arrived to these conclusions with EVs, just out of curiosity.
I really think people just don't look this stuff up. I mean, it's easy.
Mm,
Like even me. I mean, I'm not doing research on EVs. I'm not because it's just not it's not part of my everyday life. My business revolves around these cheaper end cars, so I don't need to know anything about EVs. Even with me starting this YouTube channel, like I follow Tesla as a company, but as far as the individual cars, the technology behind the cars, I don't need to know anything about them. And I'm going to now more in the future because this is actually something that's been very interesting to me to learn about. Just hearing from you and hear from Zach and Ray's channel from yesterday, it's completely changed my mind as far as the I won't say safety, but as far as not worrying about necessarily losing charge and then being stranded at some point, which I know a lot of that's really just blown up anyway for most people that don't know about EVs. But just the simple knowledge of being able to talk to some people that have EVs has really changed a lot for me. And that just general information is not out there. There's no commercials on TV that's going to tell this older generation that, hey, you can get 200 miles with a Tesla. That information is not just easily out there because they don't advertise it.
Hmm. So, like, if I were to role play something, let's say the company comes out for the freaking Super Bowl and they have this like 1 minute ad, just like squashing like the top three things, like, 200 miles, you don't got to replace the battery, you ain't gonna run out of charge, whatever. You barely have to like repair or maintain the company. Do you think something like that would do well?
Yeah, but they don't even have to do that. I mean, Tesla. I mean, Elon Musk owns Twitter. Just start there. Yeah, I mean
Sure.
it's easy free advertising for Tesla to run ads all over Twitter, just throwing out knowledge. I mean, even something simple as like YouTube ads saying, "Hey, did you know that a Tesla can go for 200 miles without a charge?" That's the commercial. That's it. I mean, it would take almost no money. I think even when Kevin went up, he said something like Netflix spends hardly no money on compared to their market cap on advertising, and you see their ads everywhere. And Tesla could easily do the same thing.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. The one comment you made is that you think over time we're likely going to go EV. How long do you think that's going to take? And yeah, so let's start there. Like, is this like a 10-year thing, a 50-year thing? How are you thinking about this?
I think it's probably a lot longer than a lot of people think. Just because, like I said earlier, the cars I think are the easy thing. It's the infrastructure. Because even if you can charge at home every night, people are still going to need to have those charging stations they can get to quickly before they feel comfortable to actually buy a Tesla, to buy a EV, especially in these more rural areas. And that's a large majority of the population. That's where they live. So that's going to be a long road to get them to adapt to that. I think it's going to more depend on something that has nothing to do with EVs, and that's the price of gas. So as more EVs get adopted, if it just becomes to where these oil producers are is costing them so much money and the price of gas has to go up so high, just the actual price of gas might actually push people into EVs that didn't want to go into EVs because they can't afford to pay gas anymore.
Sure. That's a fascinating point.